Hello, everybody. Ella J here for your Clash at the Castle predictions and preview show. And of course, I am not alone. I had to bring on some special guests for this special occasion that's going to be happening in Scotland. I surely wish I was there, honestly. But of course, like I said, I am not alone. I'm firstly joined by, she's above me on the screen, the natural Astrid Pizarro. How are you today?
It's been a long day, but I'm glad to be here. Finally, the fun stuff is happening.
Right. Partay, girls' night. Exactly, girls' night.
Yeah.
And of course, we are here to round out the party with the convention connoisseur, Kimmy Sokol. How are you today?
I'm great. This is not the first time you and I have talked today, that's for sure. But it's been like 2 years since I've been on AWG. I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, it's been about a year and a half for Astrid. Actually, it's been about a year and a half to 2 years for everybody, let's be real. It's been a while. But I am so glad to be back and to be back with you guys, filming some predictions for, most of this. I would say well, yeah, exactly. 60% of this card feels a little bit predictable, but there is two matches where I can see kind of going either way. Me and Kimmy were talking about this. We'll see how Astrid feels about it too. But I feel 60% confident heading in. And of course, there's always the possibility that one match might be added. Now, at the time of recording this, I have to state it is Wednesday night. There is a possibility that a last minute match will be added on Friday during SmackDown, because there's still some uncertainty, and they like to add last minute matches sometimes. So we'll see what happens. But I'm really looking forward to this because it's Saturday afternoon pay-per-view. We've got some Scottish. It's going to be some homecomings there. Actually, four people are going to be having homecomings there. Potentially five if we get the Wyatt six, debuting there. Nikki Cross might be there too. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. How are we feeling heading into Clash at the Castle just generally right now?
I mean, I like that we're doing shorter papers. I didn't know who was gonna go first there, so I was like, I'll rant. I'll do the first rant. So I like that we're doing shorter afternoon pay-per-views. I said this, I believe, when we were doing Jose's show, that they're really trying to target an international audience. It's worked amazing for them. Um, Ticket sales have been amazing. For this show, it's been a little iffy, but they've they have a huge fan base out in the UK and Scotland, so I'm expecting a really good show. We do only have 5 matches, lots of homecomings. Very good things can happen this Saturday. Someone else might show up for all we know. Someone best in the world? I don't know.
Mm,
Yeah, agreed.
that's very likely. We'll see what happens. Astrid, how are you feeling heading into Clash at the Castle?
I'm excited because I like I'm the kind of person that I like my short pay-per-views. I feel like at least everything gets a little bit of like decent time and like almost equal time to put it like that. And we have what, two women's matches? So I was like, I'm not gonna complain about that either.
There is another important element to this, because again, the TNA slash WWE, partnership is continuing. TNA has Against All Odds on Friday. I mean, it would be a quick turnaround, but it's not impossible. I don't think it's impossible to go from Cicero to Scotland overnight. I don't really know actually. Do you think that we might be getting any TNA wrestling surprises at Clash at the Castle? We'll start with Astrid this time.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I believe too. I believe in seeing a certain person on my screen, you
We
know?
might be seeing him next week on NXT. There is a 25-man battle royal. The winner will then earn a championship match against Trick Williams. Cody Rhodes did say from different locker rooms. Now that could just mean the main roster. Somebody said it could even mean the women's roster. Who knows? Lash Legend might pull up in there too and try to go after her man's title. We'll see what happens. Kimmy, what are your what is your assessment on possible TNA crossovers here at Clash?
Listen, TNA does that battle royal in T I can't even talk. Wow, for Bound for Glory, where the women get involved to call your shot, so
Yeah.
they could
Oh,
do a little
yeah.
bit like that. So if I had to predict anyone, I would predict Hendry because he is from the UK scene. I think he would get the biggest pop out of anybody on the TNA roster. But I do believe the TV tapings are the Saturday, so
You know what? That's a good point.
This is a podcast though. We can manifest anything. That's what podcasts are for, to
Mm.
fantasize book, and that's what we're doing. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it seems right now a lot of it is concentrated to just NXT, but who knows? They might expand. I know Booker T was saying on his podcast he sees Moose just going straight up to the main roster if something happens. We don't really know though. Right now it's concentrated in NXT, but for now we will move on to the official Clash at the Castle card. Like Kimmy said, we have 5 matches on this card. A potential 6th is incoming, TBD on SmackDown. You know, Kimmy, we'll start with what match do you want to start with prediction wise?
So I think we're gonna go with the match that you and I had said that there's multiple ways it could end. It's for the Intercontinental Championship because I picked Chad Gable at the last pay-per-view and he failed me. He lost. But I
I
think,
explained to Kimmy why he was not going to win there, and I was right.
listen, I just had like such a good feeling. I'm like, this is the moment. But I think this is the pay-per-view where it has to happen because it was reported earlier this week. He's very close to signing his new deal. I feel like that was maybe in the cards of like, I'll sign this new deal if I get that IC title for the summer. So I think that's a reason with Otis's promo he cut on Monday that he lost everything. I think we're going to do Otis and Gable going into the summer. Maybe this leads to Otis winning the IC title from Gable towards the end of the year. And to be honest, this heel turn has gone forever. I need it to mean something. And if Gable doesn't get the job done here, this heel turn means nothing. And I don't know where he goes from here. So I am picking Chad Gable to win the IC title.
And just for reference, it will be Sami Zayn defending his Intercontinental Championship against the not newly turned heel, but he's definitely intensified his heel turn, Chad Gable. I'm on the same wavelength with Kimmy. I said last time it was too soon for Sami to lose his title because, again, coming off of WrestleMania, 660-day title reign from Gunther, it was history making. You don't want it to seem like it was just a fluke of that Sami beat Gunther. You want the person who takes the title and breaks that streak to have it mean something, have it some substance. And if he loses it in less than 2 months, I feel like it brings down the prestige that Gunther worked so hard to, restore for the IC title. We're now past that 2-month mark. I think Sami's reign has run its course. It's not gonna bring down the prestige or anything. We're about 2.5 months in. I think now is the time to do it. And also, like Kimmy said, you can only drag out this heel run so long without putting gold on Chad before it kind of becomes boring or people lose interest in it. This is the time to capitalize when Chad is super hot, when Chad is literally super hot, hot-headed, and also I think hot with the fans as well, even though he's a heel. This is something that we've been wanting to see. Chad Gable win his first singles championship, just like period, I believe, ever. So this is the time to do it, to capitalize at Clash at the Castle. There were some people who threw in some bold predictions on, I asked on Twitter to share your bold predictions. Somebody said that Otis helps Chad wins the IC title, only to have Chad turn on him with the help of the Creed brothers. And this was a theme that a lot of people were saying that they, like Kimmy said, Otis and Chad might be feuding, and then maybe the Creed brothers come in and align with Chad. That's a possibility. Astrid, where is your head at with Sami and Chad Gable here at Clash?
Yeah, definitely that point. But to put it like that at first, it's like I kept thinking you do have to give Chad the title because at this point, if he doesn't win it, then there's no really excuse after this for him to get a rematch, and then
Yeah.
basically everything will be done, and that will make no sense to the story of it ending like abruptly in that sort of way. So to me, it makes more sense that he wins. I did think about the Creeds and even Ivy a little bit too because she was seen backstage in the back after an interview, what's happening in the backside there in the background, just talking to him. So like you never know. Plus, I think it will be heartbreaking for Maxine to have Ivy have the betrayal as well. I feel like it will have more heartbreak to the story as it is. And I feel like we've seen him talking to the Creeds too, and nothing has happened from that. So it's like I find it suspicious that we get the Easter eggs of like something's happening, but like nothing on screen is being said with them so far. And I think it will make sense if you get Maxine, Tozawa, Otis, and the Creeds and Ivy on the other side later on to like clash, because of Gable in between there too. So it's like I do see something like that happening. We haven't seen much of the Creeds getting involved in the main roster, recently. So I think it will make sense for them to come out, have help Gable win, and obviously just have them being highlighted more often on a weekly basis. And as with their background, it makes sense that they team up with Gable too. It makes everything like it feels like a puzzle piece right now. And I feel like everything happens at Clash. I feel like it definitely the puzzle will be complete in that sense of it. So as much as I want to have Sami retain, I feel like Gable's taking it.
Yeah, this was one of the two matches that I was like, I could see it going either way because Sami again is always kind of a beloved, trusted babyface that you can always lean on. But I think I was swayed because again, what if Chad loses, where does he go from there? It kind of just derails, I think, his heel run, which was a lot of it was based on he got screwed so many times out of winning that Intercontinental Championship. And so then it just kind of feels a little bit pointless for him to turn and not capitalize on it. So I think this is the time to do it, whether or not it's Otis helping him or the Creed brothers helping him. I like that theory. We haven't really seen the Creeds a lot. They've been kind of in the shadows, Ivy potentially too. That would kind of bring it full circle. And I want to see what the Creeds and Ivy could do as heels too. We've seen Ivy as a heel before. But the Creed brothers, I really want to see a full on heel run on the main roster. And we'll see what happens. But I feel like also you can't count out Sami completely, you know? So part of me is I'm like 75-25, I think, on this one. Sami could, but I think the situation kind of calls for Chad Gable to win the IC title, his first singles championship in WWE. And actually, I want to say his first title in like 6 years. I think 2018, 2019. It's been at least 5 years since I think he's held a title, like, period. So it's been a hot minute, and all of that. So obviously that is one of actually all of these matches are title matches. So that is the first of 5 title matches. Astrid, we'll pass it over to you, and give you the ball to talk about which one you want to do our predictions for next.
Ew. I would say Piper and Bayley. That's
Okay. We
uh
have Piper Niven challenging Bayley for the WWE Women's Champion. This will be the first of, I guess, technically 4, potentially 5 homecomings of the Clash of the Castle card. Piper Niven does hail from the land of Scotland. Bayley, though, is a beloved babyface. Piper, though, has Chelsea Green by her side. So but is that enough to beat Bayley? Astrid, what do you think?
I don't think so, really. It's like I feel it feels unfortunate in that aspect. I'm like I can imagine you going home and you would like to win a championship in front of
Yeah.
your home crowd, but I don't see it happening here. So at the same time, it's kind of bittersweet in that aspect. Is Bailey's a strong champion. I feel she's what Becky Lynch had with the NXT championship. If you see her so far in her reign, she's bringing different people to face her, and I like that. How it's like a rotating with contenders. I mean, you get to see people that we usually don't see getting title matches like Piper Niven in this aspect, and I love seeing that. I feel like this is something that will continue on. So I don't see Bayley losing it right now, but it just feels bittersweet because I'm like, if I want to go home and win a championship, I would like for that to happen in front of my family. So it's like it feels kind of in between there for that. But I do see Bayley winning it somehow. Maybe something happens with Chelsea that will cost Piper the championship in some way, shape, or form in the opposite way that we think. So yeah, I do see Bayley retaining it.
I definitely do think Chelsea's going to be playing some antics in there, trying to distract the referee. She might get ejected. We'll talk about my pick in a second, though. Kimmy, where's your head at?
So if Bayley did not win the title 2 months ago, I would have picked Piper because I feel like she has come so far. Remember, when she came to the main roster, she was Dewdrop. She was with Eva Marie. Everyone hated it. And now she's finally coming into her own. I feel like she's gotten so much more confident with the help of having Chelsea by her side. She gets this title match that everyone is looking forward to. I would say that this is the match that most people are looking forward to on the card. I feel like this is also the sleeper match of the night, where this is going to be, it could potentially be one of the best matches on the whole card. But since Bayley just won the title 2 months ago, I do not feel confident picking her to win her hometown. I would, like Astrid said, I would love if Piper finally got her moment, but it just doesn't make sense. I think Bayley is going to face Nia Jax at SummerSlam. I think Tiffany Stratton's gonna kind of get involved somehow with the whole Princess of the Ring type thing, Money in the Bank, maybe help Nia Jax and now lead to Tiffany and Nia Jax later on in the year, maybe 2025. But Bayley has to win here.
I absolutely agree with that. And like you mentioned, for all of those reasons as well, Bayley, I mean, Sammy also won the title, but the story for that calls for a different champion. I think Bayley is going to at least hold it through SummerSlam. And also she kind of has to. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have, a heel versus babyface. You could do heel on heel, I guess, potentially. At SummerSlam, but traditionally you would think that since Nia Jax is positioned to challenge for the women's championship at SummerSlam, that she'll be going against a babyface champion, that being Bayley. I think Bayley worked so hard to not only win the Royal Rumble, beat Io Sky, and now reign as champion. It's too soon for her reign to be over. It could be at SummerSlam. It could be further down the road. I don't know. But also a lot of things are going to be happening in 3 weeks, Money in the Bank. I feel like having a title change right before Money in the Bank, especially with Nia Jax right in the rear view, it kind of complicates things a little bit. And that's a little bit of a spoiler alert for later on for another title match that's going to be happening. If you have the title changed hands, you're going to want Bayley to go after Piper, but then you also have the Money in the Bank winner looming in the background. Then you have Nia Jax already in line and Tiffany. Feel like it just complicates things too much. Chelsea Green is also going to be in there, probably wanting her shot somewhere. Um, it's just going to be too complicated. It's going to be a clusterfuck. But not to say I will absolutely not be mad if Piper Niven wins. I absolutely love what she's doing. I'm so glad she's been giving an opportunity, especially in her home country, to perform on the stage. Chelsea's Green is going to be amazing, comedic as well. But I think to keep everything streamlined, smooth sailing into SummerSlam, you have to have Bayley retain here. So far, I think we're all in agreement so far. If I'm okay. I know I talked to Kimmy ahead of this. Kimmy and I are 100%. So we'll see what happens, Astrid, for the rest of these 3 potential matches here. Now, where do we want to go? I guess we'll go to another pair of Scots, that being Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Again, that's 2 of 4, potentially 5 homecomings. We will have Alba Fire and Isla Dawn versus Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, with Bianca and Jade defending. Now, this is interesting because like last time, this is a triple threat where Bianca and Jade don't necessarily have to be pinned to lose, which leads to possibility for Alba and Isla to win in their home countries, question mark. But me personally, I don't think it's time right now. I think we're gonna get Bianca and Jade splitting up down the road, and they're gonna feud with each other. But they are so hot right now and so strong, booked really well. I think they're gonna be booked really well for a while. We haven't really seen any inklings that they're gonna break up or any tensions. So I think once we start seeing some inklings of tension, then that's going to be the sign that they're going to be dropping the titles soon. But we haven't really seen that on any WWE programming. But nevertheless, this is going to be a great moment for Alba and Isla, and I might be wrong. And maybe Shayna and Zoe are just there to take the pin for Alba and Isla to protect Bianca and Jade. That's a very possibility. That is kind of the second most likely thing I see happening. But for me right now, Bianca and Jade are running smooth. Why take the titles off of them? That's just where my head's at. Astrid, will get your thoughts on next.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat because again, it's like their home country. I would like for them to have that crowning moment. They've been in the main roster. They haven't been highlighted the way a lot of fans were hoping for after they got drafted. So it's like we're hoping for like that moment, that maybe them getting crowned as champion will be that moment that will get them like getting booked on a weekly basis. And that's why I keep thinking the same thing you did. Is like thinking of Shayna and Zoe are just there to get that pin. But I feel like either way, whether it's Alba and Isla or Jade and Bianca, I feel like Zoe and Shayna are definitely taking the pin somehow for either team. But that one's just so hard because I want them to have that crowning moment in their home country, but at the same time, it's like Bianca and Jade are both so strongly. I wouldn't want to take the titles off of them anytime soon. I'm glad they're defending it on multiple programs as well. We haven't had that happen in quite a bit. So it's like I want to keep that momentum going. And I don't know if that would happen if they give it to up on Island, to be honest. So for now, my heart's telling me to stick with Jade and Bianca. So I'm going to keep it that way.
Okay, Kimmy.
So You're right. Triple threat matches are meant to protect people. Just not, well, you could make the argument that it's technically protecting the hometown gals because they won't be getting pinned here.
We hope not anyway.
I mean, you knew that if they didn't get on this card, Twitter was going to be very angry, right? So WWE did the right thing. They put them on the card, but they're not going to get the win here. I mean, they haven't really wrestled on Raw or SmackDown. Like ever since they've gone to the main roster, they've like never competed. So for that sake alone, does not make sense for them to win. Also, like you said, I think that when Bianca and Jade are going to lose the tag titles, they're going to lose because one's going to turn on the other. There's no sort of hints that they're going to break up. I'm assuming Bianca's going to be the one in the Money in the Bank because I don't think the tag titles will be defended on that pay-per-view. And you can't put Jade in a Money in the Bank. Like she's still learning. I talked about this, I think it was with you, Ella, that at Backlash, Jade got lost in the match and the ref had to tell her what to do. So she can't really break out into that single star yet. She has to become more comfortable, and having Bianca by her side is helping her get there. So for all those reasons, Bianca and Jade will be retaining their tag team titles.
Yeah, this feels, yeah, it feels like it's just going to be a pop for, I won't be mad at Alba and Isla winning, but again, there hasn't really been a strong build to this other than, oh, it's their home country. I feel like if they were to win, they need to build them up a little bit stronger and make them more believable. But then again, we've had surprises in the past. We've had surprise title wins, so it's possible somebody just comes out of nowhere and wins something, I guess. But this one, I think I feel the second most confident about, other than Bayley retaining over Piper, honestly. I think it's just too soon, and there's no inklings really of Bianca and Jade, really breaking up anytime soon. But it is a triple threat environment, so anything is possible, and there's no count out and no DQs, so anything is possible. And speaking of no count out and no DQs, we have an I Quit match. AJ Styles will be challenging Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship. Now, this one going into it, I do have Cody retaining, but somebody reminded me, I think the match was John Cena and The Miz. Was it John Cena and The Miz, where whoever did played a recording of their opponent saying, "I quit." So, and if they were to do it again, this is the place AJ Styles would absolutely do that. Was the match John and The Miz? I think it was. I don't remember.
So.
It was some other I Quit match in the past where the heel played a recording of the babyface saying, "I quit, I quit." And then won the match. So that is really the only scenario here where I see AJ Styles winning, and then maybe he gets caught and then the referee like restarts it or something. But that is really the only scenario where I see the title maybe briefly changing hands or it just gets restarted. But other than that, Cody Rhodes, I feel confident is going to head into SummerSlam with the undisputed WWE Championship. I really don't see him losing it anytime soon. I I don't even know when Roman's coming back, when The Rock's coming back. I don't see him losing it before SummerSlam. So in between, the rest is kind of just gonna be filler title reigns on it, filler title defenses, honestly. But the I Quit adds another layer for some, unpredictability, like I said, or something like that. Kimmy, we'll start with you this time.
So, The Rock got a big boo-boo on his elbow while filming
Yes.
that boxing movie. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, you didn't get hurt at WrestleMania, but you got hurt filming a movie where you had to be a boxer. That's so convenient. So, the problem that I see with Cody is that if you look at the SmackDown men's roster, they're not building anyone up to face Cody. And it's like the main thing on SmackDown's the bloodline. And it's like you got to build up. Like, who is Cody gonna wrestle at SummerSlam? It's not gonna be AJ again. It's not gonna be LA Knight.
There's
Like,
two possibilities, but we'll get to that. And
I
we'll get
I know who you want it to be. I do know who you want
it
it to
will be he
be.
will be one of the two possibilities. Actually, there could be three if Roman comes back. But
But
there's a third possibility that people are forgetting about. But go on.
well, if it is Randy, are you okay with him losing six
Yeah,
premium live events?
if he's heel, he should lose. Listen, if he's heel, he should lose. That's the story of Cody beating his mentor. I will be fine. I get to see that match live, so I am happy just to be there for that match. So
Th-
I'm okay with that.
This is very, very true. I think the other thing too is despite what Kevin Nash said last night on Who Kills WCW with the person who wins the title, like the babyface who finally wins the title, like when you lose it, it's more money in the chase. With Cody, there's no more money in the chase. Like the money is in him being champion. He has been the top merchandise seller for WWE since he's freaking won that title 2 months ago. He is doing appearance after appearance in the media. He just got announced for the Fan Fest in New York with Fanatics, which is going to be this huge ass thing. So Cody has to remain the top. He is the guy right now. There's so much money in him, and that's why he will probably be champion till this time next year.
Very likely. Astrid?
Yeah, it's like after all that chase for Cody, just like I'm not saying he has to have like 1,000-day reign, but it has to have
Yeah.
like a lengthy reign at least to make this whole wait worth it.
Yeah.
So I don't see him losing it anytime soon, but I do think about being an I Quit match, not only what you said with the recording, but we also have the OC who's not occupied either for this pay-per-view, who most likely could be a possibility that they're there too, especially now that they put them on TV again with AJ. It's like, are they going to be a factor in this? Because if you think about it in this aspect, AJ does have two people backing, back up there, but then we don't have anybody backing up Cody on TV at the moment. So you never know. But at the same time, you're just thinking about that in practice, like, will we have AJ lose another match though? It was like, and where does he go from there? Is another thing that I keep thinking about. So it's like, I'm not saying I'm not picking Cody, but it's just like I keep thinking of that in the back of my mind as well. And just thinking about the fact, it's like you said, aside from Randy, there's not really a lot of people lining up or like people getting pushed to go against Cody. So it's like one of those like, what do we see happening in the future with this title right
I
now?
think it could be
But
Carmelo for Money in the Bank, honestly. That's where I see
yeah,
it going.
that's another possibility. And it's like plus we have whoever wins like just the Money in the Bank like in general. But he doesn't have like a lineup of people going up behind him, which is surprising with that target that he has on his back. I expected a bigger line to be there, but not for that. But I wonder how the OC is going to play a factor into this, but I don't see Cody losing this championship though.
Same. We'll get into yeah, like we said, this is the problem that we were having. Me and Kimmy were talking about and I think I was also talking with you, Astrid, with the draft happening. There are certain people that I think should have been on SmackDown, like a Gunther or an Ilya. And we'll kind of talk about that in a minute. But the depth to SmackDown, they're gonna have to push either randomly like a Shinsuke, or they're gonna have to circle back to Cody and Carmelo. I think that would, but Carmelo could also be in Money in the Bank. It kind of has to be one of those guys. I think Shinsuke randomly again, because Cody's not gonna not defend this title at Money in the Bank. He's gonna defend on every single pay-per-view. It could be a bloodline member though, but they seem to be wrapped up in Kevin Owens until Roman returns. So I don't know what's gonna happen for Money in the Bank. But we do have one final title match on here. And then after that, we'll talk about the potential sixth one that they might be adding. Or do we want to do it now?
I think we should do it now and save the
Okay.
last match for the last
before the
match.
main event.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So there's reports going around that there could be a potentially sixth match added, and again, we still have SmackDown, so it could be added at the last minute, and that being Logan Paul potentially defending his United States Championship against LA Knight. Apparently, it's expected to be announced for this upcoming Clash at the Castle. Personally, I think it should be taking place at SummerSlam. If you're going to give LA Knight his first singles title on the main roster, I feel like it should be at the second biggest event of the year if it wasn't going to be WrestleMania. That's a whole other conversation. I think LA Knight should have won that at WrestleMania, but he wasn't even in that match. So SummerSlam is your second best bet. So if that match were to happen at Clash at the Castle, I think Logan retains and their feud continues, and then LA Knight beats him at SummerSlam. Personally, that's how I would book it. But how are we feeling about this potential LA Knight, Logan Paul? We'll start with Astrid this time.
Yeah, it's something like I kind of expect it to happen here, but you never know with the figures because they're trying to keep it as short as possible. So it's a possibility they just keep it with the fight that they have right now. If it does happen, I do just see Logan Paul just retaining it for the moment and having LA Knight with like having that crowning moment on a bigger pay-per-view. And who knows what kind of shenanigans will happen with Logan Paul at ringside, to be honest. He's bringing all his friends in here somehow.
Yeah.
So, and I know he has a bunch of friends. So It wouldn't surprise me if there's more people coming in here to help him out, only for LA Knight to be like, no, we're gonna have a match, and there's gonna be like one of those matches like nobody can come in here, so I can finally win the title, and it's actually 1-on-1.
Yeah, like Hell in
That's
a
something
Cell or
that I'm
something.
expecting from it. Yeah, something like that. End the feud in that sort of way. And that way we get Logan Paul off TV finally, because I feel like it just really needs to happen at some point. So I definitely see like LA Knight having that kind of moment in a bigger stage and having it on a different kind of match, not just a regular one-on-one type of match. So I wouldn't surprise me if it's some kind of stipulation match on top of it, to be honest. So if it were to happen, though, I see Logan Paul retaining it here.
Kimmy.
So I think that this match should also take place at SummerSlam. I think that for it to just be like a random, not random because they've been feuding, but like just for them to announce it super last minute. I saw a tweet the other day that in the 220-day reign of Logan Paul's US Championship reign, he's only defended it twice, which is sad, offensive, horrible, the complete opposite of why we said that Logan Paul should win this title in the first place, especially because when he re-signed his contract, he said that he was signing on for more dates and like he appears the same amount of dates that he did before he signed that contract. So I do agree that it should be at SummerSlam. I can see them doing it here and then leading to a stipulation, but this will lead to another match. If this match does get added, I don't think this is where LA Knight wins it. I think he does win it at SummerSlam or even Money in the Bank, which I don't think they should do it there either. I think it is going to happen at SummerSlam. But yeah, don't do it here. You could drag it out for 2 months. WWE, you've done that before with other things that shouldn't have been dragged out. I believe
Yeah,
in you.
if they don't do it here, I think the story is going to be that Logan Paul is dodging LA Knight
Yeah.
because he keeps going into Nick Aldis's office is like is Logan Paul here, and so he can make the claim, oh, you're dodging me, and they keep having this war on social media, so that's a way to prolong it, but again, you can only do that for so many weeks. There's six weeks between 6 or 7 weeks between Clash at the Castle and SummerSlam. So you can do that for maybe 3 and then set it up like right after Money in the Bank. But if they were to run this, yeah, I absolutely think Logan Paul should be retaining and then LA Knight wins at SummerSlam to win his first main roster title. Now, this we again, it's not confirmed that this is the main event or anything. We really don't know what the main event is. I think this match is arguably the biggest match on the card, personally. One, I mean, Drew it's going to be performing in his home country, but also it's the most uncertainty because there's SummerSlam implications after it. There is CM Punk implications. It is Damian Priest defending his WWE World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre in a match where the Judgment Day, meeting Dom Mysterio, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough, are barred from ringside. Who is not barred from ringside? CM Punk. Neither is R-Truth, who's an unofficial member of the Judgment Day. But that's just, I
You
don't think
think he shows
anything's
up?
gonna happen. Maybe. This match I'm the most unsure about, and I kind of have crazy potential ideas, so I kind of want to go last. We'll start with Kimmy here on this. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. Drew's performing in his home country. Does he lose again at Clash at the Castle? That is the question.
So it's really funny because my cousin has been texting me since we started this podcast, all of his Clash of the Castle predictions, and I'm like, wow, you really picked horrible timing, my guy. So he mentioned to me, he goes, do you really think that Drew re-signed to go to his home country and lose the championship? And I'm like, that's a really good point. But the story is really in Punk just screwing Drew over time after time after time. So I think that Punk is going to screw Drew over. I don't think that Drew is going to win the title. I think that on Monday it does get announced that Punk is cleared, and this is going to lead to the teases to Drew and Punk at SummerSlam. The other reason why I really don't see it happening is because I don't think Drew and Punk should happen at Money in the Bank. I think it deserves a bigger
Oh no, it's gonna
pay.
be happening at SummerSlam.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it shouldn't happen at a small pay-per-view. We've been building this match since January, like literally 8 months. It should happen on a bigger stage here. And plus, like, if Drew wins the title, then we got Gunther, and like I think Punk's gonna beat Drew, and it just makes things a hell of a lot more confusing. So for all of that, Damian Priest is gonna win and then lose to Gunther at SummerSlam.
Astrid?
This is my heartbreak match of the night. I might end up crying again after.
No crying.
I just don't want Damian to lose. It's like I keep thinking, how do you bring all the Scots to Scotland and have all of them lose? Like that's the one
Yeah.
that makes me think about like this is one of the things that makes me doubt about Damian keeping this championship. But I also don't want him to lose. I cry when he won. I don't want him crying because he loses. But I think what I like about Raw is that it has the opposite problem as SmackDown. You see a lot of people lining up for this championship right behind Drew. So I like that we have so many possibilities here, and there's like you never know what route they're gonna pick. It's like you said, we do have the option of like a Punk to be there, extend that storyline of like that back and forth between him and Drew, which we want to have that match. It's like I don't want it for the championship. I would prefer just to be a one-on-one match and just say, "Look, I finally beat you. Can you get out of my face now?" So I could go for the gold kind of situation. So I was like, I'm so like torn on this one because it's just like I want to pick Drew because it's Scotland, but I also don't want Damian losing because Damian's my guy. So it's hard to pick somebody, but I want to go here, and I'm not gonna go against Mike. I just picked Damian. I'm sorry.
Why are you apologizing? You're agreeing with Kimmy.
That's
I
why I'm
know, but I'm
confused.
not.
I'm like, now Ella's gonna switch it up on us, and then she's gonna pick Drew, and then we're all gonna.
No, the thing is, I'm still sticking with what I told you, but the more I think about it, because somebody brought a potential possibility to me, there is two scenarios here. There is obviously, Damian Priest retains with Punk screwing Drew, and then they do Drew and Punk in a non-title match at SummerSlam. I think Punk is likely to interfere and all that. I honestly think we're getting Drew and Punk at SummerSlam, whether it's non-title or for the title. Now, hear me out. A couple months ago, didn't WWE say, or there was reports that trades could still be happening from after the draft? Is Kimmy frozen, or is she just like
No,
line of thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, so didn't
I'm
WWE
following you.
say, or wasn't there reports that there could be trades happening after the draft?
But I thought that it
Mm.
closed. Like it had to happen up until like the
WWE is
Monday
also
after.
just
This
WWE.
is true.
The
Keep going.
draft's
I'm
literal.
intrigued. Keep
So,
going.
like, there is a possibility. Like Astrid said, do you want all the Scots to lose in their home country? That's a little bit heartbreaking. That's what I think is going to end up happening. But there is a possibility, that Drew wins the World Heavyweight Championship back, and then you set up Drew and Punk. Drew wins it despite Punk's interference, and you set up Drew and Punk at SummerSlam for the title. But then Gunther gets drafted to SmackDown because the winner of the King of the Ring has to face whoever the world champion is on their brand. If he gets drafted to SmackDown, you get Drew and Cody, the match that everybody's been wanting. But then also it complicates things because Gunther the month after that is going to be Bash in Berlin, and you don't want Gunther to lose, but you also don't want Cody to lose. So it complicates things, but it's a possibility. I'm just saying, it's a possibility. Gunther
This is
gets drafted.
WWE booking themselves in a corner, as always. That is what this is called.
Gunther could very well get drafted to SmackDown, and then you have Drew and Punk versus the title at SummerSlam. And then you have Gunther and Cody, but then like what do you do with Randy then? I don't know. That's a little bit complicated for my liking. But if they have Drew win, they have to do that because it can't not be Drew and Punk at SummerSlam. So if Drew wins, they have to trade Gunther to SmackDown because that world title scene is just too complicated. But to
Unless
uncomplicate
they
things,
do it in London and they do it at Money in the Bank.
they're in Toronto for Money in the Bank.
Oh, that was last year. My
I
brain.
feel like with such the high profile nature of Drew and Punk, you have to do it. You have to do it as SummerSlam. You have to do it whether it's for the title or not. But if it is for the title, then easy fix would be trading Gunther to SmackDown. But to make things uncomplicated, I mean, the easy road is just Punk helps Drew, or Punk costs Drew and helps Damian win, and then sets up Drew and Punk for SummerSlam and Damian and Gunther. That uncomplicates things. But to Astrid's point, do you want all your Scots to lose in their own home country? So that's where the question is what outweighs what, you know? But I think for the sake of the story, it that kind of makes sense for Drew to lose here again. And then they can circle back to the World Heavyweight Championship, you know, whether again, that's a feud that you could have it for a title or not. There's so much substance to it. So I think the
Ooh.
most uncomplicated way is Drew just loses because Punk costs him, and then Punk gets cleared, and then they set
No,
up for
but you
SummerSlam.
what you can do instead. Other thinking here.
Okay.
You could do the triple threat at SummerSlam. You could do Gunther, Punk, and Drew. Then Gunther just doesn't take the pin. And like Drew pins Punk. And then Gunther's like, well, you didn't pin me, and Bash in Berlin's in my backyard. I want my fair title shot in my home
Okay.
country, and that's how Gunther wins the title. That is probably the only way you get out of this if Drew wins the title.
Feel like again, I feel like Gunther feels like, and it's sad because he's so amazing. He feels like kind of like a third wheel in that match. Then though, that's what it would kind of feel like. But again, Gunther has to challenge for a world title. They just said it has to be on the brand that he's on. He could be traded, but then who do you trade to Raw for Gunther? That's the important
Carmelo
question.
Hayes.
No,
No,
he's fine
I
there.
would keep him. I would keep him on SmackDown. Um, But there's that possibility. Like somebody brought it to my attention. I'm like, shit, you're right. Because it makes it so complicated. If Drew wins this, it complicates the entire, and then also Damian gets a rematch, which would probably have to happen at Money in the Bank, potentially. But if Drew wins, Damian has to have a rematch. He's gonna be, you know, he has to turn his attention to Punk at the same time. Gunther then is lined up for a match at SummerSlam if he doesn't get traded. So it just complicates things too much, I think, if Drew wins. Um, or I guess it could be a triple threat. Damian gets his rematch at Money in the Bank, and then you do Drew, Punk, and Gunther. But Gunther to me feels like a third wheel in that match, and he's not third wheel material. So
That's
I
why he's
don't
gonna
know.
be angry and demand his rematch at Bash in Berlin.
That's true. Yeah, I'm just also like Gunther either has to be walking in with the title or walking out of Bash in Berlin with the world title. Whether that's Cody's or whether that's the World Heavyweight Championship, I don't know yet. I think the most effective way to get there is to do Damian and Gunther at SummerSlam, Drew and Punk in non-title. Gunther wins at SummerSlam, walks in, walks out at Bash in Berlin. But also, Drew McIntyre could win a title in his home country, so that's the only thing. That's the beauty of this though, is that there's so many theories. This is the match I am the most uncertain about. I'm kind of wavering on Sami Chad too, but the other three I feel pretty confident in. So I think I'm gonna end up either 3-2, I could end up 4-1 or 5-0. I think I'm gonna get at least three right on this. So now that I think about it, I think all of us are actually in agreement. Because
Yes.
I ultimately, if I had to choose, I have Damian retaining.
Mhm.
So actually, we all agree, which is
So we're
crazy.
all 5-0. All right, guys. This could either go
Yeah,
really well for us or really
I feel
crappy.
confident in saying we'll get at least three. I feel very
Hmm.
confident we'll get at least three. It's just the IC in this World Heavyweight Championship match are throwing me a little bit. Um, Especially this World Heavyweight Championship. Man, that would suck. Honestly, though, that would suck if all four of the Scots lose. But also, there's a possibility. I'm not saying that she'd be in a title match. Nikki Cross could also pop up at Clash at the Castle because of the whole Wyatt Six thing. I don't know what their faction is going to be called, but that's probably happening the Raw after. Clues led to believe that it's June 17th and not June 15th, but who's to say they can't show up? It is her home country as well, so we'll see what happens. Maybe she interferes in one of the women's title matches. Maybe.
That'd be interesting.
We'll see. But before we log off, final thoughts on predictions, bold any crazy things you think might be going down here. Astrid, I see you thinking, so we'll go with Kimmy.
Oh, I mean, nothing crazy. I mean, like I said earlier, like the afternoon pay-per-views have been a staple this year for WWE. I think it's worked out well for them. No one has really complained about them, so I'm hoping that the show's good. I actually am booked all day Saturday, so I can't watch it live. So I know Ella's gonna text me if I'm like 5-0. She'll like text me at the grad party I'm gonna be at. Like, we were
We'll
right.
all be 5-0, yeah.
We were right. So I just hope it's a fun show. I hope all the hometown wrestlers get what they deserve. This is their moment. You know, if you would have said 10 years ago that Scotland was getting a pay-per-view, I don't think any of us would have believed you. So just to get there is a huge deal. So I hope they all enjoy it this weekend.
Astrid, any final thoughts?
I think the only thing that I was thinking also with Damian, I was like, what if he knows that with Drew's mind games and everything with Punk that he has that, that thing of like Punk distracts him so he loses the championship. So what if Damian just plays the music of Punk and distracts Drew and takes the title that way? Because he also has said to the Judgment Day, I want to do this by myself. And I feel like of the group so far, he's the one that feels like he's turning like face in that aspect too, that he's like, I want to do this alone, don't interfere. And then every time they interfere, he gets mad with them. And now obviously we don't have them, they're bugged from ringside. So that helps in that aspect for him as well, that he can prove himself. But I wonder if he thinks about the aspect of, yeah, Drew, it's like you're getting distracted with Punk. So I'm gonna use that distraction to my advantage and have somebody play his music. You look at the entrance, think he's there, and I just steal the win. So you never know, something like that might happen. So you can say, oh, I did it by myself. So it wouldn't surprise me if something like that along those lines happen too, that he does it by himself and tells the Judgment Day, I didn't need you guys to begin with. Because that's
Also,
something that's been happening lately.
also, now that I'm realizing Judgment Day is banned, we know CM Punk is not. Liv Morgan is also not banned from ringside. So does Liv help out Dom's chum Damian Priest? That's a possibility as well. If it's not Punk, I guess it could be Liv Morgan.
Watch
Maybe.
her.
Over on Twitter, though, we did have a couple bold predictions. Jose, our good friend, predicted that Alba and Isla will win the women's tag team championships, but by pinning Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. I think if they do win, I think they're gonna have to pin Shayna and Zoe. Kind of similarly, our good friend Michael predicted too that Unholy Union pin Zoe to become the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, but then sets up a rematch at SummerSlam where they roll up Bianca and causing Jade to then turn heel on Bianca at SummerSlam. That's also a possibility. I don't think we're gonna get that switch between Bianca and Jade right now, but SummerSlam is a definite possibility. We'll see what happens. I kind of hope I hope one of our matches is wrong and one of the Scots does get a win in Scotland. So I kind of hope that we're wrong on at least one of these, so we can get a homecoming win for at least one of them. That would suck. But it just storyline wise, I feel like it makes more sense for them to lose. But who knows? We could be surprised. Money in the Bank is only 3 weeks away. There could be a short title reign coming up. But we'll see what happens. Before we get out of here, let everybody know where they can find you on social media and support you. We'll start with our good friend Kimmy Sokol.
Oh man. I wasn't ready. I usually go last. Hi. Thank you so much, Ella, for having me back here. I know I was held against my will to be here, but I appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter at Kimmy_Sokol, Sokol. And all roads lead to Cleveland, but not for just SummerSlam. It also leads to Destination WrestleCon. Sting, Trish Stratus, the Garcias, Lita, Mickey James, who's Ella's very good friend,
My
and so
bestie.
many, and Bestie, and so many more. Head to WrestleCon.com. It is taking place Friday and Saturday, so if you want something to do before you head to SummerSlam, go to WrestleCon. I'll be there, and that's just worth the
I'll
price of
also be
admission.
there. You can say
Exactly.
hello. Come say hello to us. We're also dragging Astrid out of there from Florida to come along. She doesn't
I
know yet, but we're dragging her there.
just like I was held against my will for this pod, Astrid's gonna be held against her will to come to Cleveland. You could also see me the next couple weeks on OLE for Honor Ramble because I don't know if you guys heard, but every single active men's Ring of Honor champion was on Dynamite tonight, but we can't even get that on the Ring of Honor show. Why does this happen? Tony Khan, I'm gonna ask you some questions about that on the Forbidden Door Media Scrum. But yeah, I write a lot of things for the Pop Break. I review Ring of Honor every single week for PW Insider. So just go to my Twitter and I tweet everything out. And Ella, thanks for having me, pal. You're the
Thank you
bestest.
for being here. Totally by will.
Oh, of
Just
course.
kidding. Just kidding. Astrid, before we let everybody go, let us know where we can find you.
No, thank you for having me, ma'am. I like to work with both of you, so it's nice to always do this when we get the chance to. No, you can find me on my Twitter, just like my name. I like to point out, but I'm terrible with this. Astrid Pizarro. There you go. But everything else you can find on my YouTube channel with my name as well. Any interviews, any post shows, and you can find me on Tuesdays on our local establishment doing taking over my good friend OLED, as he rants and drinks his haterade on the stream, and I just stopped him from doing so. But yeah, that's how you can find me usually. Yeah, everything else on my YouTube channel, Ladies Fashion Showcase, any interviews, post shows, prediction shows. Hopefully more stuff coming up soon, so everything will be there.
And if you're not already following me, that'd be kind of surprising how you landed here then. You could follow me on twitter.com/itslaj. I don't call it that other thing. If you go to the link in my bio, all my links to all my projects, podcasts, and writing are all there in one convenient place for you. And of course, you can go to youtube.com/awrestlinggal. Kimmy, Astrid, thank you so much for joining me here. WWE Clash at the Castle coming up this Saturday afternoon. I think it's 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, is it? Actually, no. It's
I think
probably
it's
more.
2.
It's probably more like 2. Yeah, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think 7 p.m. UK time. Now that I'm thinking about it, that'll be an exciting show. The two matches are a little bit unpredictable for us, but that's the beauty of it. Tune in to Clash at the Castle. We'll be watching. You should be watching too. Thank you so much, guys.